All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This is our team benefit call for Tuesday, May 30th. Crazy. So that means that tomorrow starts the second half of our entire year and the first half of our third quarter. So if there is ever a time for reflection, it would be tonight and tomorrow, and reevaluating where you're at and where you're going and why, and then reaching out to chat with your success partner, your accountability partner, your upline coach, or myself to make sure that you have the tools in place to get you there. So tonight, we will do lots of recognition tomorrow because it'll be the first day of the new month. So I am going to dig right in and introduce our guest speaker to you guys tonight. We have Stephanie. Do you say Burgos? Is that right? No, it's not.
It's Burgos.
Burgos. Okay. And she is a 2015 elite coach, 5-star elite like myself. And she is also a Success Club 10 All-Star legend. So that means she has rocked out at least Success Club 10 and beyond for at least 24 consecutive months. So if there is a way to build a business quickly, that would be the benchmark, I would say. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
That's kind of a good way to go about it. But anyway, Stephanie is an ER doctor, so she is a busy lady who knows how to get things done. And you may have heard that before, that busy people know how to get things done. So don't ever shy away from busy people because it's true. That was a lot. And so anyway, thank you so much for joining us. She is going to share some of her wisdom tonight about what has been working for her. And I am going to hush and learn and make sure that you are taking notes, that your distractions are minimal, and that you are in a mindset of ready to learn and grow. So thank you, Stephanie.
Awesome. All right, guys. So today I'm actually going to tell you a little bit about my story, just because I think it's always, important to share that. And I'm also then going to talk to you about mindset. I think that's one of the topics that I'm most passionate about, especially just in terms of my own overall journey into becoming a physician and kind of that. And I'll talk a little bit about that as I'm kind of going through my presentation. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press play on my screen. So guys, can you guys see my presentation? Awesome. Let me put this down so that people do not start calling me. All right. So success lies within your mindset. And so the starting point of all achievement is desire. And so this is me back in July of 2013. And I was smack in the middle of my residency. So for those of you who don't know what residency is like, that is basically working a ton of hours. So I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. I was a resident at Harvard in Boston, and I was overweight. I had no energy. I had a closet full of clothes that did not fit me. And I was letting the number on the scale dictate how I was feeling every single day. And so and I know many women can relate to that feeling of stepping on the scale and just absolutely feeling disgusted and just not wanting to put on their clothes and not wanting to go out. I was there. And I had come to a point where I was like, enough is enough. And I think that's incredibly important when people are like on their journey, on their like kind of healthy living journey, is that people need to hit that rock bottom where they're just like, enough is enough. And for me, it was having a closet full of jeans that didn't fit me and my scrubs getting tighter on me, that I was just like, I really need to find something that I can do within my busy schedule. And I was that person that I always made time for exercise. I would go down to the gym. I would get on the elliptical machine for 40 to 50 minutes. And I was always working out because to me, working out is a huge stress reliever. I am someone that, to me, it's nature's kind of, antidepressant. And so I was always someone who worked out. But the problem for me, like many other people, is my nutrition. My nutrition was horrible. I have a huge, huge sweet tooth. Like I could eat straight sugar if you let me. And I was just always going out to eat. I love to go out to eat. It's like my guilty pleasure is going out to eat to a restaurant. It's what I love to do. So anyway, I had come across Insanity. Actually was my first kind of introduction to Beachbody, and it was actually a ripped program that my boyfriend had. And I was like, I did the program with him, and I was like, wow, I am really out of shape. Like I could not do burpees, I couldn't do high knees, I couldn't do anything. And I remember that it was incredibly soul crushing. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is absolutely horrible. And so I stuck with it for about 7 weeks. And then all of a sudden T25 had started coming across my social media. So I was that girl that would come home and I would sit on my social media and I would just scroll. I would go on Instagram, I would go on Facebook, and I would scroll. I didn't know any Beachbody coaches. And I had heard about Beachbody through the Insanity commercials that were playing, after the workout finished, just like Beachbody, become a coach, etc. And so when T25 had come out, I was like, maybe I should try this. I had heard about Shakeology on my ripped version of Insanity. And I was like, you know what, let me try this Shakeology thing. And so my coach who ended up, my sponsor coach who ended up approaching me about the business had seen that I had started posting some nutrition pictures. Like literally it was like a picture of my food. And so she was just like, she approached me and she was like, you would be an awesome coach. Have you considered becoming a Beachbody coach? And like literally guys, like I felt like God was talking to me. I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm supposed to be a Beachbody coach. Like this is like, I was waiting for this like confirmation because I had been thinking about it, but I needed that like second person to say you would be awesome. Mind you, I didn't know this person from anywhere. Like I don't even know how she came across me. And so use me as an example if you're afraid of approaching people and just planting that seed, because you never know if they're just like watching you or if they're like watching other coaches and they're like, oh, really? Can I do this? And all they need is that like second person to say, yes, you can do this. And so I signed up with T25, and that really is kind of what started kind of my coaching career. And, for me, the starting point for me was that desire, right? That desire to want to lose weight. And so I have also 2 pictures here of me when I was a child. So I've always battled being overweight since I was a child. I was overweight in high school. I was overweight in college. I was overweight in residency. So I was always in that yo-yo kind of stage of my weight. And then I also put here my graduation picture from medical school, because ever since I was a child, I had been working towards that. And that's going to come into context, throughout my talk, kind of in terms of mindset and setting vision and having those goals for yourself. And so I put together this collage because I feel like this really encompasses like my coaching career. And so Luke at the top is my boyfriend of 8 years, and he is a full-time coach alongside with me. And he's pretty much like my assistant. He's someone who has grown in this business with me. And when he did Insanity, he dropped his blood pressure points by 20 points. He was borderline hypertensive. And that to me solidified that these programs work, even though I knew it would because it was exercise, but still it was that extra kind of validation that our products work. And so my before and after with T25, 8 weeks of T25 is right there in the middle. And so when I got T25, I said, you know what? I'm going to commit to this program because I want to show that this product works. Mind you, when I signed up as a coach, I didn't know I was going to take it like the way that I have. I didn't know that I was going to pursue it as a full-time business. What I did know is that I wanted to help one person. And I wanted to show one person that these products work. And I knew that if I could show that it worked through my transformation, that they would want to work with me. And so I used that as extra accountability. And that is how I started, right? Like all of you, I started posting from day one, my kind of journey with the product. I was someone that, and I think that helped me to be very successful, is that I was very transparent from the beginning. I was that coach that hit the floor running. And so when my coach put me on, when my sponsor coach came on and I signed up, and I started having a lot of success really quickly, she was very surprised. And she was just like, wow, this is, you're really doing really well. And it was because I was using the product. I was staying accountable. I was sharing my results. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what a big part of our business is. And so I grew on social media. I didn't grow locally. And so I have 2 girls here on my collage. These are 2, one I met on Instagram, one I met on Facebook, just to show that I did not grow locally. I used the wonderful technology of social media to build my business. And I've continued to use that. And that's why my coaches are kind of spread out all over the country, because I have predominantly grown on Instagram and Facebook. And I was that coach that never used to post. Like, I never used to post. I was always watching people. I never posted. So I went from within 2 days, I went from never posting to posting 3 to 4 times a day. And and that immediately got people's attention, because they're just like, what in the world are you doing? You're super busy, you're a resident and you're a physician and you're posting about your workouts. That's really inspiring. And B, what are you doing? It gained, it basically helped people to have interest in what I was doing. And so I have 2 pictures here, one of me on the Great Wall of China and one of a picture that I took in the Serengeti of the elephants when I was in Africa. And I put these pictures here because a lot of people ask me, why did I, a physician, decide to pursue network marketing? And what I want to say is that in these 2 pictures, this was last summer in August, I took an around the world trip that I was able to take because of Beachbody, meaning that I finished my residency and I was able to delay working for 4 months because of my Beachbody income. And that to me is complete freedom for me. And the lifestyle is truly what drew me to this opportunity and what continues to drive me and continues to help me grow this business. And so there I was in China, and that evening I went back to my hotel and I worked my business. In Africa, I worked, I did my things during the day, and then that evening I worked my business. And so that flexibility is really what draws me to what we do. That is an insane amount of freedom that no one else really can offer us. I can't have that same amount of freedom being a physician. And so to me, that was incredibly appealing. And I have a picture of me smiling because when I graduated medical school, I remember I had wanted to be a doctor since I was a child. Since I was 7 years old, I had this vision of wanting to become a doctor, and I achieved it. And then I was like, now what? I'm someone that I thrive being challenged. I thrive. I feel like if you're not being challenged, if you're not growing, you're not going to continue to grow to be the best version of yourself. And so I thrive in challenges, and I would come home and I would sit and I'd be like, what am I doing? What's next for me? Mind you, I had accomplished a lot so far in my 29 years of living, but I was looking for something more. And it wasn't until Beachbody came into my life that this spark came in, and all of a sudden a whole new vision took place within my mind, and my life changed for the better. And so to change your life, you have to change yourself. And to change yourself, you have to change your mindset. So my personal mantra that I teach to anyone who ever wants to listen to me is that life begins one step out of your comfort zone. And I encourage all of you guys to have a mantra that you abide by, that pushes you, that you look at it and you're like, ooh, this is a constant reminder that I need to do more. There's nothing wrong with wanting to do more. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be better than who you were yesterday. It's all about the challenge so that tomorrow you're better than who you are today. So in terms of mindset, I have a couple key things. And so number one, I want to say, which I think is incredibly important, is that you need to leave your ego at the door. So what does that mean? So I think it means to me that you need to become a student again. So many people come into this business with a wide variety of just experiences, right? In terms of education, in terms of work experiences. But understanding that if you've never been in this type of business before, if you've never been in network marketing, if you've never grown a business on social media that's solely based on relationship building, then you are a student again. And I don't care how much experience you have in any other realm or any other field, you are starting from day one. I'm a student. I need to come ready to learn. And so what that means is that you need to become coachable. And, for you guys, Traci is your mama bear. She's your leader. She knows the things that you need to do so that you can become successful. She's not telling you to do certain things so that you can stay away from your family, because she wants you to be away from your children, and she doesn't want you to go to these wonderful events, and she doesn't want you to she doesn't want you to spend time with your family. And so, but she's telling you these things because she knows that these are the steps that you need to take in order to have success in your business. And so being coachable is incredibly important. also in terms of just ego, and this is what ties in, is that you need to be willing to fail forward. So many coaches are afraid of failure. And I think it's because a lot of people internalize it. They look at it as a saying, I am a failure. And that's not the case at all. I mean, honestly, guys, a lot of it may be the action that you did was wrong. And it may be that it was just at the wrong time. There are so many things that I try now that have failed in the past, and they work now because I have a different team. I have different people who are energized and excited. And maybe something I tried before that didn't work in the past is working now. So I'm constantly always trying things, even if it hasn't worked in the past, because I'm always looking to see what's going to work for my team that I have today, because our teams are constantly evolving. So being willing to fail forward and realize that failure is such an important part of success. You're going to have failure after failure after failure. And it's so important that you're failing forward and you're not falling off the railroad track to success. Really realizing that is just such an important part, and not internalizing it and not taking it personal. You have to be transparent and share you. There is a tribe for every single one of you. And what I love most about this business is that it truly takes your experiences. It takes all the hurt from your past. It takes all the struggles in your past, and it allows you to really make good out of it. To share those experiences so that other people who are maybe out there looking for people who exactly have your experience. Like, there are going to be people that I will never relate to, but maybe you will relate to them. And it's so incredibly important that you share who you are authentically, and you share your struggles as well as the good things in your life. And the reason being is because I have been doing this for 3 years, but in being a physician, I've seen just how much pain there is out there in the world, and how much negativity people are surrounded by, and how many people genuinely feel like they're alone in the situation that they're going through. And if they hear that someone else is going through a situation, they're going to say, wow, I'm not alone. Wow, this person knows what I'm going through. Let me continue to follow her. Let me continue to try to really get inspiration from her. And so understanding that there is a tribe out there for you. And if you're not sharing yourself, you're never going to find them, and they're never going to find you. You need to do your reps. And so it takes 10,000 reps before you master something, right? And so I think a lot of coaches see the success. They want the large team. They want the 6-figure income. They want all the good things that come with success, but they don't want to do the work. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, none of us want to do the work, right? We have to do the work in order to accomplish the goals that we want. And so it's that hard, unglamorous work behind the scenes. And those of you who have been a coach for a long time and have success, you know how hard it is in this business that you have to stay consistent, that unseen steadfastness of doing the 4 vital behaviors every single day, right? And I capitalize every single day, guys, because it's so incredibly important. It's every single day. In my 35 months of coaching, I have never, ever missed a day of showing up to my business. Never. No circumstance, no obstacle, no amount of overwork, feeling overworked. I have at least tried my best to show up, at least, even if it's posting, even if it's inviting, at least doing 2 out of my 4 vital behaviors, to at least show up, because at the end of the day, I understand that my social media is my storefront. I cannot not show up. It's almost like when people take that break, when they take a weekend off or a whole weekend off and they don't post anything, or they take a week off or 2 weeks off, you're breaking that trust that you basically worked in building with your audience. And then you want to come back a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and you're wondering why people are not responding to you the same way. It's because you've broken that trust. You've literally put a lock on your door, and you've gone away. And now you're kind of repairing, and you're kind of coming back. So understanding that every single day you have to show up. And not only does that help you with consistency, but really what it is the practice, right? So many times you have to, in this business, there's so much practice in terms of just the conversations, videos that we make, hearing the different objections so that we know how to react to them, hearing the different no's and the different ways people will tell us no so that we know how to react to them. All of that is practice that you will only get if you're doing your vital behaviors every single day. And then understanding, the concept of delayed gratification. A lot of people ask me, do I regret going to medical school? Heck no, I don't regret going to medical school. The reason being is because it really genuinely taught me that concept of delayed gratification. I worked 12 years of my life going into $300,000 worth of debt in order to become a physician, never guaranteeing that at the end I was gonna come out a doctor. Never. I have colleagues of mine that did not make it. So it does not mean that just because I was in that path that I was going to see it to the end. But because I believed in myself and I knew that one day at a time, 1 year at a time, I will reach my goal, I stayed on that path. And I knew that, yes, now it's a sacrifice. Now I feel like I'm working for nothing. Now I feel like I'm working for minimum wage and residency, which it was like. But I knew that at the end, I would have that lifestyle and I would have that income that I was working so hard for. And I think a lot of people do not understand that concept. And a lot of people come in wanting everything to happen quickly and happen fast. And that's not how any business works. You need discipline. You know, discipline is the ability to control your impulses, your emotions, your desires, and behavior. It's being able to turn down immediate pleasure and instant gratification in favor of gaining the long-term satisfaction and fulfillment from achieving higher and more meaningful goals. And so it's doing it, right? It's doing it even when you don't want to, guys. There are days when I don't want to do the work. There are days when I'd rather come home from a long shift and sit on my couch and go to bed. And there are days when I do not want to have a conversation with someone else. And I don't want to have to then pour in energy to build someone else when my energy is low. Like we all go through those days, but you have to have the discipline, the same discipline that you have in your fitness. You have to have the same discipline in your business. And then you have to have belief, right? That's so incredibly important. 66% of entrepreneurs fail. And I was reading the statistic and they were saying that the reason why they fail has nothing to do with finances. The reason why they fail is because they stop believing in their dreams. At the first obstacle that they reach, they stop. They all of a sudden, they say, wow, this is too hard, and they give up. That's a hard statistic. That means the odds are against us in terms of being successful. So if you know that you're going to have that belief, because guys, if you don't believe in your business, then why should someone else, right? If you don't believe in your business, why should your family believe in your business? Why should your friends? Why should your colleagues? If you are that easily swayed from your path, someone else is going to easily come over and just push you off your path. And they're going to say, you didn't believe that much, did you? You didn't believe in yourself that much. I will tell you that I stand with 150% like conviction and confidence behind our products, behind myself, behind my team, behind this business, because I believe in it that much. And you need to have that same amount of conviction, that same amount of intensity in order to make it in this business. And understanding that when you believe in what you're doing, you're going to attract other people who believe in it as well. If you have any doubt, trust me, people are going to see that. They're going to see right through that. If you're if you have that doubt, you're going to attract people who are going to have doubt. And one thing that I tell a lot of people that I think is incredibly important and incredibly humbling is that you will never attract anyone who's better than you. And I think that's incredibly humbling, because if you're someone that you want someone who's confident, you want someone who's a go-getter, you want someone that's going to stay consistent, well, guess what? You need to have those qualities too. You need to work towards those qualities so that that person can be attracted to you, because like attracts like, and that's a fact. And so, that energy, and obviously, and it doesn't mean that if you don't have that high energy that you can't attract someone high energy, but it's going to take time, and you're going to need to compensate in other areas, whether it's, strong belief, and whether it's a lot of just, pouring into someone else. So having that belief and then confidence is super important. And obviously, if you don't have these things, this is why personal development is so important, and personal development really, truly needs to be a focus for you and your business. And then the last thing that I want to touch upon is that you need to have a mission and a vision that's personal. And so at the end of the day, none of us, we didn't wake up and, we didn't wake up when we were younger and say, we're going to sell challenge packs and we're going to sell Shakeology. Like, that's not what we did, right? That's not why we, in the true essence, that's not why we're coaches. And so what I have found between successful coaches and non-successful coaches are that successful coaches have been able to connect Beachbody with something that truly speaks to their heart. And so what speaks to your heart, right? Like what would you do If you didn't have to worry about finances, if you didn't have to worry about time, if you didn't, what would you do with your time, right? Because eventually you can reach that. You can reach that with this business, but what are you going to do when you do reach that? When you're sitting around and you don't have to worry about the finances, you don't have the stress of worrying about paying the bills, everything's paid off, your marriage is great, like everything is great. So what are you going to do with your time? What would you, what speaks to your heart? Why? Same kind of, along that same line, why do you want to be successful? Something I tell a lot of coaches is imagine that you had 100,000 people coming to your page every single day. What is the message that you want them to feel? What is it that you want them to get from coming to your page? I started doing that from day one as a coach. I started thinking like that. Like, I was just like, wow, I really want to build my platform to 100,000 people. Like, what's the message that I want them to take? Because that was incredibly important to me, and it really was appealing to me. And then given your talents, passions, and values, how could you contribute? How could you use these resources to serve, to help, and to contribute? And so it just so happens that for me, obviously the mission of our company to end the trend of obesity is something that really genuinely speaks to me as a physician and also personally. And so I put a map here because all of those red states, this was back in 2012, this was showing that greater than 30% of the adults in those states were considered obese. And so that was incredibly an alarming statistic, especially because that was back in 2012. So I can imagine that more of the country is red, and that I think we're actually heading more still in the wrong direction. And so, and not only is it affecting the adults, but we all know that childhood obesity is on the rise. And what that means is early heart attacks, early strokes, early diabetes, and also early, issues with self-esteem and depression. And so when I hear the stats that by 2050, 50% of our population is going to be obese, that is an incredibly scary statistic for me. And the reason why, especially particularly for me, is that when I think that 50% of our population is going to be obese, this is what I think about. I think about these images. I think about people coming into my emergency room depressed, filled with anxiety, wanting to hurt themselves, trapped in their minds. And I'm not saying that every obese person has these things, but I will tell you that it is linked. Like, it is highly linked that when you are, when people are severely overweight, their self-esteem takes a hit. And what that means is that they don't believe in themselves. They have, they have depression, they have anxiety. And honestly, guys, that is not the mindset to foster you being the best version of yourself, right? That's not the mindset that's going to foster them living out the talents and the passions that God gave them, right? And so for me, I understand that, yes, we have challenge packs, but it's so much more than challenge packs, and it's so much more than Shakeology. What we're doing with helping that one person with our packages and helping them with our challenge groups is that this may be the very first step of self-care for themselves. The very first step where they're saying, yes, I'm worthy to make time for myself and to start loving myself again. And that's the first step. That's where our work begins. So it doesn't end when we sell that challenge pack. That's where our work begins. And if you can get on that, if you can find something like that truly speaks to your heart, because guys, I know how big of a problem this is. I'm tired of seeing so many people come into my emergency room crying, and they're just so depressed, and they have so much anxiety, and they're paralyzed. They truly are paralyzed. Like, they can't do anything. And it's really sad. It's very, very sad, because there are too many people out there who are too alone. And all, us as coaches, what we're doing is we have the ability to say, reach out, basically like lend out our hand and say, you're not alone. I can understand. I'm here to help you. And this is something that I feel like I can continue to pursue as a mission until I die. Like, I feel like this is always going to be a problem. I feel like, 150% I can stand behind this mission. So it's understanding that if you guys can connect, and it may be something different for you. It may be mission work. It may be, bringing your husband home. It may, whatever your mission is, whatever speaks to you, so that you are serving others and you're also doing the work passionately. Once you can make that connection of how Beachbody can help you, you will start to see that you'll have more success, because now you're tying it to something personal, and it's not just challenge packs and just Shakeology. And so every great dream begins with a dreamer. And always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world. Guys, When I was younger, I used to always want to be a voice for the voiceless, is what I used to say. And it's because I genuinely know that there are so many people out there that are hurting. There are so many people out there that are suffering from, like I've said so many times already, depression, alcoholism, other addictions, and they need our help. And so when I think about what we do as coaches, I just see so much potential of how we can help others and how we can truly change people's lives. And so there are only two mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting. So I challenge you guys, to get out of your own way and to start. I'm not sure if there'll be new coaches listening to this call, but I know that a lot of new coaches really struggle with getting in their own way. They overanalyze, they get stuck in all the kind of analyzing things and comparing themselves, but realizing that you need to put your blinders on and you need to just do your work. And realizing, one thing that I've grown to appreciate about this business is that I genuinely don't feel like I'm competing against anyone else but myself. I genuinely feel that way. I feel like there are people out there that are going to be attracted to me, just like there are people who are out there who are going to be attracted to Traci, and she's going to help them better than I could ever help them. And I don't feel like I'm competing against her. I feel like there's enough people out there in the world that each and every single one of us can help. And I think it's when we show ourselves authentically and we share who we are, that's when we're going to start finding the people who want to work with us. So that's it.
Yay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that delay. I couldn't figure out how to get myself unmuted. That was awesome. That goes in like the new coach top picks for videos playlist that I haven't created yet. You've just created your own playlist for my team. No, thank you very much. So what did you guys have questions that you want to post in the chat? There was a lot there. There were so many good things that I was learning and writing down. I have a quick question, maybe while other people are thinking.
Yeah, I love questions. Please, any questions about anything. It can be anything, like not even any. I love answering questions. So I'm an open book.
Well, and I think that's part of your success is being that open book. In the last week, I had one person message me that her son had committed suicide. Another person messaged me that she's pregnant living in a storage unit. Like I was like on the same wavelength as you in terms of we have a lot of work to be done. And when we are out there and putting our voice out there are people that will be reaching out to you and you're just like, holy cow. And neither one of those people are in a position to order a challenge pack. Like that is not going to happen. But I was able to say almost exactly your words, like you are not alone. Mm-hmm. You're not alone. So anyway, that was awesome to hear. And question, do you have coaches on your team that are like, well, Stephanie's successful because she's a doctor and so people take her word for it? Like I could just hear that going through somebody's head. How do you respond to your coaches that say that?
I mean, I think, and I've definitely had a lot of people who, they say like, oh, you're a physician, so you have success, or they feel like they need certain certifications in order to have success, whether it's nutrition or physical training or things like that. And honestly, I tell them the stories of other coaches that don't, that are doing so well and they're impacting so many lives and that they don't have that same, they don't have the same credentials and the same background as I do. And I think I just kind of share with other stories, sharing with stories and pointing them to the direction of maybe other people that they could possibly relate to. I happen to attract a lot of healthcare professionals. So that's kind of my market, is our healthcare professionals. But when I attract non-healthcare professionals, I really try to link them up with other coaches and just really reiterating that it doesn't matter what my history is. Really what's made me successful is that consistency and that transparency and my belief in myself. And so helping them to really find a vision for themselves and so that they can have that same type of success.
Right. Well, and it'd be the same thing if somebody, was like, well, you're successful because you're a master trainer. And I'm not a master, it can apply to any different thing. Okay, awesome. And I think that's a good point to always try and connect your prospect with somebody that they will closely identify with, whether it's a before and after or somebody's personal story or whatever. That's a good point. Other questions? Anybody want to unmute? Oh, Kelly, let me see. Are you unmuting? Let's see. Let me see if I can do it.
I was watching Kelly the whole time. I always pick like one person to follow as I'm talking.
Right at me.
Yeah, I was looking right at you because I look for people who are like engaging with me, because otherwise it's really hard when people are just like standing there staring at you and they have like, you're not like laughing, they're not smiling, they're not nodding. I'm like, oh, this is really awkward and really hard. So I was watching Kelly the whole time.
Well, you have this personality. You've said you've always been driven. You always had this goal. You knew what you were going to do. So what would be one tip that you would give somebody like me who's lived my whole life? I've raised my kids. I was a stay-at-home mom. I just kind of have lived off the cuff my whole life, and so really trying to learn how to focus and not be sidetracked. I mean, you're talking about mindsets, some days I just feel like I'm all over the place. It's like I need some Adderall. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just like bouncing off of everything.
So I'm actually like that myself. I get very easily distracted. I think it lends to me being an emergency medicine physician, where I'm always having constant stimuli being sent at me, and I have to be able to process it really, really quick. And so I'm like that in my real life as well. What I would say for someone like you is obviously understand, and obviously you've had a lot of life experiences, much more than I have. And so you're going to come to this business wanting it for very different reasons. So understanding is specifically why you want this to be successful. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? I always tell people, especially, and I may be getting off course with this, but like, for example, I never came into this business for the income at all. I was never, that's not why. And I've come across women who have trouble too, because they're just like, well, my husband's financially fine. I'm not driven by the income. And they're not doing well. And I think it's because they think they need to be driven by the income. And I'm like, well, okay, so it's great that you are financially stable, but how can you help someone else to be financially stable? Or how can you help someone to believe in themselves more? How can you make it more about the other person so that you feel more like you are, like you're accomplishing something? So first, number one, I would say understanding, really being specific about why you want to have success and what success looks like for you specifically as a coach and what you're trying to accomplish. And then number two is just like, even though I'm really crazy with my mind, I always stick with my vital behaviors. I genuinely do. Like I can have so many stimuli come at me. I could be so busy, but I will always invite and I will always post. Those are the two things, with inviting being number one and two being posting. That has always been my era, like my kind of most important has always been inviting, then it's posting, then it's my workout, then it's personal development. And so knowing that my most important thing is inviting, even if you're just like all over the place on a busy day, you focus and you say, okay, these are the three things that I need to focus on today. And it's hard. Like it's really, really hard, because I struggle with that, where like, for example, for me, my eat that frog is actually working out, right? Like for me, that's one of the things, because it's not that, I mean, I enjoy working out now, but like for me, if I don't work out, I feel like my day hasn't started. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if people can relate to that, but then all of a sudden it's like, I don't eat until I work out. So it could be like 1:00 in the afternoon. I haven't eaten because I haven't worked out, because I actually sat in front of my computer before I could even do anything. And I got caught up in something that was like, and I started scrolling, or I started answering people. And before I know it, 3 hours go by. Now I'm cranky. Now I'm stressed out because I haven't worked out. And I have anxiety because I haven't worked out, and I'm upset now because that's my day. That was my day today. It was like, that's my day all the time. I'm like, damn it, I didn't work out. Like I need to just get up and work out. So just to understand, like figuring out what your frog is that you need to get done every single day to move your business forward. It was a long answer.
Yeah, it was good.
My mind is always like, I'm always all over the place. Like my boyfriend makes fun of me a lot because my mind is always moving and he's much more slow. He's like the opposite of me. It's like, I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, like what?
Get on with it.
I'm always like, let's go. What do you got to say? But it works. It works because we balance each other well.
So the biggest thing is just making sure you're inviting and posting.
Yeah. Because those are
that your priority.
Yeah, you have to figure out what your priority is every day so that it moves your business forward. I mean, and obviously it's going to be different for certain people. Like me, I had a lot of confidence coming in. I never had confidence issues, and that, you know, and like I never had problems with being determined. Like those are knowing what my weaknesses are, knowing what my strengths are. So not that I didn't need personal development, but it wasn't a priority for me. It's more of a priority for me now because it's more leadership, personal development that I need now, and just more really trying to understand how to work with people who are different personalities than me. Because I feel like I'm the minority, you know, personality in the business, and overall, a lot of people, and my whole team is Emerald Pearl is my whole team. It's like I'm a hardcore Ruby is my personality. And so understanding how to work. So you just have to say, okay, what are the 2 or 3 things that are most important so that I can move my business forward? And hands down, it's inviting. That's number one. You could be doing personal development up the wazoo. You can be in fantastic shape. You can be, but if you're not inviting, you're not going to be seeing the success that you want, you know, in terms of the business, right? Mm-hmm. And so making sure that you're doing your inviting and making sure that you're doing your follow-ups, and making sure also that you have a way to track those things. That's another thing that I think is really important. So if you're someone that, you know, if you have a really clean area where you're, when I say clean, but really organized way of knowing who you're talking to, I think that'll also help you with you staying focused. If you know, like, this is who I need to follow up with, this is where I am in the conversation with this person. Do you have something like that, Kelly?
I've just now learned how to use Streak, and I really like it. I like it a lot.
Awesome. I was going to say, that's what I tell everybody to use. Everyone needs to use Streak.
Yeah.
So I use Streak, and that's honestly, I think that's really transformed my business. So obviously the more you use that, the better it's going to be, because you can really know where you are. The way that I use it, you can really know where you are in conversations with people, and then you can easily follow up with people, and then that'll help you with staying focused. Because if you have an inbox full of replies, you're going to sit down and you're going to say, okay, let me spend the next, 45 minutes replying to all these all these emails here, because now you're going to have a stack of emails eventually as you're kind of building that.
Right.
Yeah. Streak is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I just signed up for it today.
What?
Yeah.
I know, right?
You're going to love it. It's actually a really great, I think, obviously Brooke has her training. I also have an hour long of how to set it up. So between mine and Brooke, mine is like for the person who like needs the step-by-step. Like, that's why it's an hour long. It's like, press this and then press that, because that's what my team needs.
I'll check it out. I will, because I didn't know that you had one, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, Brooke and I have worked. She's someone that I turn to a lot for a lot of things too. So she has more kind of broken down, and I just have like an hour of just like how to set it up.
Okay. Cool.
It's awesome. You're going to love it. It's going to be harder too, because you have more of a contact list probably, but ultimately it's going to be for the better.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Anybody else before we let Stephanie go? All right. Well, Stephanie, what is your like page kind of name?
So it's that'll be great actually, because I actually just completely transitioned over to my like page. Probably about 2 weeks ago, I stopped posting on my personal page. It's Stephanie Burgos, Healthy ER Doc. So if you look up Stephanie Burgos, it'll show up. And it's Healthy ER Doc. And then I'm Healthy _ER _doc on Instagram as well. So
healthy
on Instagram, Healthy _ER _doc, DOC. And so, and I started my Instagram with 200 followers, and I've grown that to about 14,000. And then my Facebook, I started with 1,000 friends, and then I've grown it to I grew it up to 5,000 friends, and then I switched over to my business page, and now my business page is at 32,000. So trying to engage. You can have that many followers, but if you don't have content that's engaging, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So that's where I am now in that transition of just really trying to, again, work on my brand, which is, I think, something that constantly evolves as we grow as coaches. What is that message that I'm trying to get across, and what is the message that my audience wants to see from me? And that's the challenging, but it's hard. It's fun, but it's challenging. And you're just like always being challenged in this business. It's always evolving, always changing. But like for me, I know anything that I write on doctoring does really well. So it takes a little bit more time because I always put a little bit more thought into those, but they always seem to get the most engagement. So clearly that's what my audience wants me to write more of. And that's me. It's who I am. I'm a doctor. So.
Very cool. Well, thank you, girly. I appreciate it. There was so many good things in there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
really good.
Awesome. Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I talk to you all later.
Bye.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye, Kelly.